Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar on replacing InfoPath with modern solutions such as Crocanyon's NITRO Studio. Where some people are still joining, we'll go through some preliminary information and then jump right into it. This is meant to be a 30 to 35-minute webinar, so I'll cover a lot of information fairly quickly. And then if there's questions, we'll try and answer them during the webinar. You can put questions into the question box that's in the GoToWebinar panel. We'll try and get to them during the webinar, but if we don't, we'll answer after. Also, we'll have a recording available and send that out by email once the webinar is over, within a day or two. Usually we can get that out, post it up on YouTube and in our video library, and then send you a link to it. So again, thank you for attending this webinar. I am Scott Restivo, President and CEO of Crocanyon Software. I've been in this business quite some time. I've been running the Crocanyon Software for the last 22 years. We started way back in the late 90s. And we've been doing a lot of work in the Microsoft collaboration space since that time. Of course, SharePoint wasn't around when we first started. We were in the Outlook and Exchange space, and then we moved into the SharePoint and Office 365 space in probably around 2007 or so, and been working in there ever since, building business applications, out-of-the-box solutions that run common business processes like help desk or HR, purchasing, work orders, project management, those kind of things. You can talk to us about those if you're interested in a business application. We have our NITRO Studio, which is what we're focusing on today to some degree as far as an InfoPath replacement option. It's a forms and workflow tool that runs in Office 365 and SharePoint. We have custom solutions that we do based on collaboration needs inside Office 365 Teams and SharePoint. And we're doing a lot recently with AI and bot services. And I might have some time to show you one of our bots that we put together that runs inside of Teams. So hopefully we'll get to that in this webinar. We are a preferred partner with Microsoft 365 Business Applications, a preferred partner. We've been that for many years. And we're also a California certified small business. We have offices in California, in the Bay Area. This is where I am right now, and also in Rhode Island, where it's, I guess, cold and snowy. Out here, it's sunny and mild. Out over there, it's snowy. So we could cover both sides of the country, but we have customers worldwide who are using our products and have for many years. So quite a strong customer base. Today, we'll be talking about InfoPath replacement. We have a number of resources available for that. We have been doing this for several years now, realizing that people need to move off InfoPath. We have an eBook that's available for free download, covering topics, best practices, what NitroStudio offers. Also, I'm gonna drag over our website right here, and you can see that it is quite a resource base right here that we have developed over time. If you go to our NITRO Studio InfoPath replacement, of course, you can read about our applications and all the other elements of what we're doing, but focusing particularly on InfoPath replacement, you see that we have this page that serves the resource guide, time for InfoPath replacement, ebooks, how to move off, get started, NITRO Studio, and we'll look at the InfoPath replacement manager and the NITRO Studio today for a little bit. Take a look at those. And there's a number of resources. We've been doing a number of webinars and data sheets and case studies and infographics on this subject. So we're considered one of the leading experts on InfoPath replacement, and that's proudly so, and we're glad to help people move off of InfoPath, or other legacy programs to modern solutions. The first thing I'd like to do, well, the next thing I'd like to do really is launch this poll so we get a sense of where you are at with your InfoPath replacement. So the poll is out there. If people don't mind taking a few seconds or whatever to fill out where you're at with it, that'd be very helpful. Now, we've been noticing over time that the progress is going from very preliminary, that was where everybody was at a couple of years ago, to many more people are in the later stages of starting or well along. So interesting to see how that's progressing as we do these webinars over and over again. A few more seconds there, maybe 10 seconds, and then we'll be back to the show. Back to the show. Okay, let's see. I'll give you about 5 more seconds. Okay, I'm gonna close the poll. If anybody wants to vote for the last minute, go right ahead. You got another. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close it. And what it's showing me here is that there is about half the people are in very preliminary, and everybody else is spread out doing some research, a little bit started, and not so many people. Few people, about 10, 15% are well along with the project in progress. And it's good to hear that people are making that move and more people are moving into that direction of having the project in progress and moving along. So the concern here is that InfoPath support is ending this year, no, next year. We're not in 2021 yet, but it is going to end next year. The 2010 InfoPath support ended a couple months ago in October. That's all mainstream and extended, but mainstream support for 2013 will end in 2021, this July, only like 6 months from now. So if you do have a number of InfoPath forms you need to convert, it's more than past time to get going on it. And extended support really doesn't mean much. It just means that Microsoft would help you at some degree if you are willing to pay for it, but they're not doing any more development on it. So let's look at this quick timeline. I think people know this already, but when I see this slide, it helps remind me of how old InfoPath technology is. It came out just after the iPod in 2003. It was before the iPhone, before mobile devices were so prevalent with the smart interfaces, the smartphones, before Azure, before Amazon Web Services, so before the cloud services were really predominant. So when Microsoft got to a point where they said, look, we can't retrofit InfoPath for the modern solutions. The technology has changed very rapidly in the 10 years from 2003 to 2013, with mobile devices becoming very, very prevalent, cloud services coming into action, into use. Then they decided to end development. So think about that. They ended development on it like 7 or 8 years ago. I mean, there's been nothing done to further the InfoPath development. So there's been a number of people continue on it because there wasn't really too many alternatives. There was people needed to do forms and business processes, so they kept going with InfoPath, but the technology is older and older and older. And meanwhile, we came out with our NITRO Studio as a product in 2018. So it's been 2 or 3 years now on that one. And that's a good replacement for InfoPath. So now people have an option to use NITRO Studio to do that. So Microsoft, back, as I said, they ended development in 2013. This is 2.5, almost 3 years ago now. They said now is the time to start thinking about it. Every time I do this, it's later and later. First it was 1 year, now it's 2 years, now it's almost 3 years of this statement by Microsoft. Start thinking about migrating your InfoPath to other solutions. Well, it's not time to start thinking, it's about time to start doing it. It's because this is 2021. Hopefully 2021 will be your year. You get engaged with us and start using our resources and our capabilities and our tools, and we'll help you get off of InfoPath quite nicely. No new features are being added. And the other thing is there's no guarantee that future enhancements to SharePoint, but especially Office 365, won't bump InfoPath off the road. Like we just recently last summer had this where SharePoint 2010 workflows were being shut down as of November 1st, and it's likely SharePoint 2013 workflows will be shut down. So in other words, Microsoft controls what they want to have in Office 365, and their actions are based on what is the most economical use. They don't want to keep the SharePoint workflow, 2010 workflow or 2013 workflows, foundations and systems going in Office 365 because extra burden on them, and it's time to move off. They already said it 2 years ago. It's time to move off InfoPath, also time to move off SharePoint workflows into modern solutions. So why? Well, there's many reasons. It's old technology. It's not mobile friendly. InfoPath, that is. It's not mobile friendly. It doesn't have compatibility with the latest browsers. There's been 8 more years of browser development, and InfoPath was built for browsers 8, 10, even longer years before us, 15 years ago. Outdated technology, no longer being developed by Microsoft, as I said, and that means since 2013 even. So it's not just like they stopped last week. This is 8, 9 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. And difficulty connecting to other sources because it's a bit outdated. So there are problems with InfoPath, and really I want to encourage everybody who's just looking at this preliminary to accelerate the progress of getting off, whether you go with us or somebody else, or just do it on your own. It really doesn't matter. Our goal here at Crow Canyon is to help you run your business better and to provide the information that's needed. We're part of this larger community and feel it benefits everybody if we're all working together to move off the later kind of clunky old non-mobile, non-cloud friendly technologies to modern solutions. And this is why, because InfoPath is holding you back. Even if it wasn't being phased out, you would still want to move off it to take advantage of new technologies. And we say it over and over here, but there's mobile, there's cloud. I mean, it was done before the iPhone InfoPath was created before iPhone. InfoPath was created before Azure and Amazon Web Services. You know, so mobile, cloud, modern UI, the modern UI in SharePoint 2019 and Office 365, portals, very big thing to engage with users is portals, and the AI services and bots. This is good technology. I mean, it's not just you're leaving InfoPath behind, you're moving forward in a really good way to improve processes and systems in the company. So you can upgrade your solutions, your InfoPath with modern technologies, mobile, modern UI, evolved in more extensive database integration, portals. In other words, chatbots and that thing. In other words, it opens the door to many possibilities. It's a time, it's work to move off InfoPath, but it's also exciting and interesting to put new processes in place at your organization and what the new capabilities of the modern technologies are. But the first rule, the number one rule, really the only rule is here, stop creating InfoPath forms. The more InfoPath forms you create, the more problems you're gonna have later to do it. Now, I thought most people absorbed this rule, but I did actually talk to someone last week, maybe it was earlier this week, but it was recently, where they said, oh yeah, we are still creating InfoPath forms. We keep doing it because, you know, they haven't come to an alternative yet. And I said, well, you know, stop creating them. That's, you're just gonna dig yourself a deeper hole here, and it's not going to be, you know, it's make your work harder in the long run. It's like if you're going to move to a new house, you don't buy a set of furniture for the old house, you know, that kind of thing, right? So, okay, then people ask about transferring data. Now I could go into this in great detail. I've done this before in other webinars. We're trying to keep this one short and focused. So I'll just go over this briefly, but if anybody has more questions about this or any of the matter in this webinar, I'd be very glad to talk it out with me or one of our team. We're asked about conforms. Well, can I just click a button and get a new form in my new solution? No, because the forms in InfoPath are in a certain structure that makes it very difficult to export that out and import it, the UI into a new system. We've tried it, others have tried it. We've been in many discussions over the years with people who have tried it. And the conclusion is that it's just easier to create the form in the new solution from scratch. It also gives you an opportunity to create the form in a new way, using the new methods and methodologies in the new solution, rather than just blindly replicate what was in InfoPath, which may or may not have been working. There may have been usability issues or user engagement issues, but there's more you can do if you recreate the form as kind of a green field rather than try and replicate exactly what was done in InfoPath. The only times you have to do that, replicate exactly what InfoPath, is if there's some regulatory or government need or some other corporate need that you have to keep the form looking exactly the same. And our NITRO Studio can do either the same or give you a lot of new options on the forms, and you know, so really what you want to do. And the next item that people ask about transferring is data. What about all the stuff I have in my old InfoPath forms? A whole bunch of useful data, let's say there. Well, you can migrate it out. It's just data. It goes to a database, and then we have a partner that can import it into a SharePoint list if you want it there. It doesn't bring the form over. It doesn't bring some of the permissions and things, but it does get the data there. And a lot of people do that mainly for archiving purposes rather than to use that data in the new solution. They find it's easier to start with a new solution that has fresh data and just go from there and use the other data as kind of archival information if needed. And workflows are just not, there's just no way to get the InfoPath workflows over to a new workflow solution. So that's just, you have to rebuild them in that case. And that comes from our years of experience of having to try to make this ways to do that, but there just isn't. That's happened. So rather than dig into that in great detail, if any questions about those three, moving forms, data, or workflows, I or one of our team can help you with any questions. And you know, okay, so now we're talking about ways to transition from InfoPath, and I'm going to buzz through this pretty quickly because I want to you know, get to other matters. And there's each one. This could be, any of these could be a deeper dive in and of itself. Basically, the transition. You got to know what you have. Then you look at what you have and say, do I need to transform this over, transition this over to the new solution? Are there alternatives I could do? Maybe there's pre-built applications ready to go. I don't need to revise the whole InfoPath thing, you know, at all. And then you can implement a new solution, and then you're ready to go from there with it. So yeah, okay, good. So let's look at this in let me go here. So catalog the forms. How do you get a list of the forms we have? Either you know it already and you have a manual, you have good records, you know there's so few, it's easy to list. That's good. If you only have one or two, then you don't need to go get that more involved. It's just like, I know I got to migrate this form, that's how it's going to work. But if you have a lot in there, some people have hundreds or even thousands, you can use PowerShell scripts to bring out that information. We can provide these, we've done that. Here's an example of what happens of an output, what you get when you do one of these PowerShell scripts, you can get a whole list of forms, and there's a whole bunch of information you get out using those scripts that dumped into a CSV file. Then you can use that later on your own or with our InfoPath Replacement Manager. So what we've done is we found that when we get these spreadsheets, it's good to put that into some kind of tool, and the most likely one was our InfoPath Replacement Manager, which imports that spreadsheet in and then gives you a tool set to work on each form and give a way to manage the projects of the migration. So let me go, here's NITRO Studio, and I'll show you that in a minute. But here's the InfoPath Replacement Manager, imported a spreadsheet, and you can see that there is like all these, there are all these different forms listed. Each one becomes sort of a project in and of itself, and it gets assigned to someone and monitored and managed to make sure that that form gets passed, goes through the proper steps of conversion, whether you need to meet with the users or the department that's using it, or you want to analyze, how much its use it's getting, or other details like this. You can set this up and have a really good way to manage each project. And some of them can be very simple, and others are more involved. Depends what kind of form it is, how critical it is, how complex it is, what modifications you're doing, what enhancements you're doing. So there's a lot you can do here with it. You can look at the details of it, get all the information from the spreadsheet, put it in here, and we can expand this or modify it for your particular needs, because this is based on our NITRO Studio. This is a NITRO Studio form. These are NITRO Studio actions. These are NITRO Studio layouts. I mean, this is all a part of our Forms Designer that we created. And you can do things like look at form, what did the old one look like? This is what the old InfoPath form looked like, for example. And what does the new one look like? Let's see, where are we? Right here, this one. What is the new one going to look like once you get it created? You can say, so you can kind of do like a comparison of the two right there with using the project manager. And then there's other related items, what milestone tasks, all tasks, who's assigned. So this kind of dumping the information, cataloging the information and put it into a project manager gives you a way to manage this very well. Then you have tasks that are assigned to you, and new projects and new tasks and milestones, and you can have the documents related to it. So this is a tool that we found very useful for people as they do not just InfoPath replacement, but any legacy system like Access Forms or Lotus Notes or whatever, and they want to move off of that to modern solutions. This is a way to manage the process and keep everybody involved, up to date on what the projects are doing. Again, it's based on our NITRO Studio. I'll show you NITRO Studio a little more in a minute, but let's go through this process I'm talking about right here. You have the catalog, it's in it. You now have a tool to manage it if you want to use our InfoPath Replacement Manager, or you have something your own. Some people just use a spreadsheet. It's okay, whatever, that's fine with me. Like it has to be fine with me. No, I mean, some people just want to, they use the spreadsheets or they have other project management tool. But we came together with it. We put this one together because people wanted it and needed it, and I just want to point out it's there. Once you have the catalog in place and InfoPath Project Manager, you can look at every form and say, hey, do we need it? Let's get rid of the ones. Let's eliminate the ones that are not being used or are unnecessary or can be done in other ways. And then you can look at the effort required to replace the remaining ones and sort of map out resources for it, time and effort. You might want to prioritize the more critical ones, the more complex ones, and leave other ones for later, or do it the other way around, do the simple ones first and the more complex ones later. Really, that gives you a lot of ability to organize it, but you do have to look at what you have going and make a kind of a project plan, which one you can do first, and based on resources and effort and impact on the company that you want to do there. And then one thing that we say here, and of course this is a shameless plug for Crow Canyon applications, but it is Crow Canyon webinar. So anyway, if you have something that can just be automatically replaced by one of our applications, go ahead. I mean, the thing is, why rebuild it if it can be used? If you have a request management system that is already pre-built, ready to go, running on SharePoint or Office 365, ready to go, then why just substitute that in instead of rebuilding the whole thing from scratch, a whole process. These have a lot of thought and experience and use with them, so they're full-fledged, they're supported by us. And again, they all run on NITRO Studio also. So if you didn't need to modify it and make it modifications to it and tweak it and adapt it to your specific requirements, any one of these can be done. A lot of times that happens with onboarding and purchasing. Purchasing is here, where we have to we work with the customer to modify around the edges, you could say, to make the application fit their exact process, what financial system they want to integrate with, or onboarding might be an HR system. So a lot of flexibility on that level. So now if you don't, if you find you have the forms that you need to replace, you have it in some kind of project manager or spreadsheet, you looked at alternatives that maybe would fill the need, and now you want to go build well, what tools do you use to build your own? Well, we build your own forms and workflows to replace the InfoPath one. Well, we have our NITRO Studio, and our NITRO Studio has been developed over many years as the basis of our applications, and then we productized it, you could say, into becoming, because people were asking for it. They said, well, I see your applications run on this platform on SharePoint and Office 365. We can, I want to build my own stuff. Can I do that? Well, we put NITRO Studio, we called it NITRO Studio, and the web parts and apps and tools and everything we're using that underlie our applications, we made into a full-fledged product that you could buy on your own and then build your own applications out of it. So comprehensive and powerful, because it's used to run our applications, many years of experience of doing that in the real world of what works and what doesn't. It's easy and simple to, relatively intuitive as much as we can. We, try to make it more and more as we go along. We get a lot of feedback from people, and it's a very collaborative kind of effort to make this work in the best way it can for people. And it's very comprehensive. I said up here, it's not just like forms, it's not just workflows, not just reporting, it's a full set of application creation platform. It gives you the whole enchilada to build the application you need, or the form, or the workflow, or whatever you need. And it's affordable, and we can talk about pricing if you're interested on that. It has in it the NITRO Forms part of it. It gives users the dynamic responsive forms. It has portable templates. You can have repeating rows and linked items, custom actions, portal interfaces, database integration, e-signature, many other things you can do as you'd expect in a modern form solution. It's not an InfoPath or mobile design, for example, or things like that. So the workflows and custom actions, you can do approvals, escalations, auto assignment. Anything you want to do in the workflows is really kind of where the rubber meets the road, in the sense of the form's got to do something. You just don't fill it out and that's it. You have to have something happen, and the workflows and custom actions give you, oh boy, if you took a look at our NITRO forms and workflows and custom actions, you see, wow, that can do a heck of a lot of stuff. Integration with Teams, if you have Teams, it can integrate with web services, Azure functions. It can, it's just generate documents. It's just, I don't know, our team's done a great job of covering all the possible, as many as possible, I guess, of the processes that you would need to implement to make a business process run more efficiently and smoothly. This is what we do all day, so we're making it all day and all night, for that matter, and we making it as good as possible for everyone. This is what we do. Okay, also the NITRO Studio also has portals, reports, AI services, list formatting, all kinds of list capabilities, email sync, email manager, modern UI, printing's a big one, a lot of printing. So there's a lot going on in NITRO Studio. I'll show you that. I got some time to show you some of that, and I think I can even squeeze the bots in too to show you some of that too. And the point of this is that if you're on InfoPath, this is your way for. This is a way forward for you. We've been down this path a lot. We have the scripts to get the information about what you have on place out. We have the project manager in order to help you manage the project or conversion if that's needed. We have the NITRO Studio to give you the capabilities to build new forms and workflows. Either we can do it, or a lot of people would pick up the NITRO Studio on their own and run with it. And we have a lot of people who are very excited. We call them evangelists about the NITRO Studio out there, because once they get using it, they really see the many power and capability and ease of use of it, and to use it to replace whatever solution they're trying to replace. And it's kind of fun to be that creative and create a new form and create a new workflow and put something in and get praise from your coworkers and everything, and then go back and tweak it some more if you need to as time changes. It's just you know, it's, if you're into that thing, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of rewarding, I guess you could say. So people really like jumping on board with NITRO Studio. I'll say that for that. So what I'll do right now is jump over to show you some of the NITRO Studio itself. Here we go, NITRO Studio. That's the right one right here. Here we go. So we have an application. Oh, come on over here. Here we go. That was the InfoPath replacement. Here's the here's one I just kind of play around with this one during demos. Access request system. And just show you the front end for a moment here. The front end, there's a form that comes up. There's you know, can have a lot of features on this form, buttons here, buttons there. You can make it look how you want. In fact, if you went to our, it's kind of segueing a little here, but if you went to our forms showcase here on the InfoPath replacement, where'd they move that navigation? But there should be a forms showcase here. Jocelyn, where's Jocelyn? Jocelyn's our web person. I'm like, where'd you move it? Here it is, forms showcase. And showing all the kinds of different forms you can create on the, with NITRO Studio. And this is just a small sample of the many kinds of things you can do. Really a comprehensive tool to do it. So here's one example of a form, but the back end is running by NITRO Studio. Here's NITRO Studio right here with all its many capabilities here. If you're on Office 365, you get AI services, bots, modern UI, Teams integration. But if you're not, you have all the other capabilities that are listed, seen here. And then if you have the Forms Designer, you can come in and work on building that form. So what was I just in the access request, right? So here we go, access request, and that will give you form. Now, I am not going to, this is where my marketing team says, Scott, you have to stop and not show this unless you're doing a webinar on this, because I would go into this in deep detail. And if anyone wants to, set up a demo or time to talk and show you, you can do a trial of this. It's a really cool program. You can do a lot of stuff in here. I'm just going to cursory overview here of the many, many features of our form designer. Showing this is something that really, really gives you a lot of capabilities to create the forms how you want them and how you want, and dynamic forms, such as if you choose a certain category, it's going to show up some things that are there. If you choose a contractor, it's going to show contractor information. To employee, it's going to show employee. I mean, just all kinds of different ways you can make the form very responsive and design it just right, and then preview it in whether you want to see it in a desktop or mobile or tablet mode. Here's a mobile. It's really many, many features inside of this forms designer to build your forms that are going to replace your InfoPath form. And then the next phase of the part of it is put it in the workflows or the custom actions. Custom actions are buttons that show up on your form. Workflows are ones that run behind the scenes and give you a lot of capabilities. I was going to go in here and look at the custom actions on the access request list, and just to show some of what's possible, the different kind of actions you can create here and put together a really, really good workflow. Just let me show you this list: add list, update list, delete, upload a document, generate a document, send an email, execute a script, invoke I mean, many, 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 many things, including these Teams capabilities, such as creating a channel in Teams or posting an adaptive card or whatever. So that's the kind of thing that can be done with our NITRO Studio. I won't go into it in great detail. We have a webinar coming up in January where I'll go into it in more detail, or anytime at all, you can set up a webinar. I mean, you set up a webinar, but you can set up a demo with us and go through it in detail. Ask any questions, give it, kick the tires kind of thing. So back in the access request system, we also have the ability to do a portal. I hope this portal is, that's the basic one. I have much more extensive portals. The idea is that this gives users a nice interface to engage with it rather than go through the SharePoint backend or send in emails or whatever. They can engage with a portal, and I can show you better examples than that, but that was one that was very basic. Portal there. We have them in the modern UI. We have them in the modern UI, and we have them in the classic UI. Let's see if this has an employee portal that is worth showing on this webinar. Here, let's see. This is, this is different, a little different. Yeah, this kind of modern UI portal here. We have a lot of web parts. We have a whole set of, I think, about 10 or so web parts, modern UI web parts that you can pop in here to build up different way this portal is going to look for users to engage with it. So this is like if you're doing InfoPath Forms, maybe doing a portal where giving people a lot of options of different kinds of forms, you know, getting away from individual forms and more of a user engaged. We call it the employee self-service portal. You know, they can search knowledge base, they can view their tickets, submit tickets. But again, I'm just doing a cursory, you know, kind of like a brief view of this, you know, drive-by of this, because I want to show you also the other features we have in NitroStudio, which is the bots. So let me get over to a bot page. Here we go, it's a bot page. So this is a bot. This is another alternative to InfoPath Forms. I mean, see, as you move from the 2013 and older technologies to modern technologies, you can go with a form in SharePoint or a portal, or you go with a mobile form, you know, these kind of different things. And it's very useful way to move off InfoPath. But if you're looking really farther and farther, you know, more into the future, the bots become another way to engage, for users to engage with business processes and accomplish real useful tasks to make your business and organization run more efficiently. So here's an example of a Nitro bot, one of our Nitro bots. So let's go in here and make a request to submit a leave request. Here we go, he's submitting a leave request. He went to the bot in Teams. This is Microsoft Teams. I'm in as this guy, Pavan, Pavan Kumar, and that's who I logged in as. You have bots over here. You know, you have bots show up here or whatever, wherever you want, or you can just call the bot, do a search, or it's just like a chat. It's like chatting with someone, but of course it's not a person, it's a bot. But what we're doing here is I went here. I said, I want to, well, let me get this straighter here. There we go. Okay, here we go. What I did is, you know, I said, hi, the bot, I said, hi or help or whatever. I'm here to help you. It's giving me these commands, which are fully configurable with our Nitro bot. You can configure this to be exactly what commands you want to run. It's very, very particular of what kind of bot commands and what they do. It's a whole system to set it up. Really cool. But I did submit a leave request. So the person comes to the bot in Teams, submits a leave request. The title is, let's say, New Year's Eve off. He wants New Year's Eve off, right? And it's earned leave. Of course, you can make whatever you want in these drop lists. It's using the back-end SharePoint information to bring it in. Start date would be the 31st, and the end date would also be the 31st. And it's a party to attend. Where though? At home? Anybody going to? I don't think anybody's going to any group parties, right? A party you attend in my living room, I guess, right? So anyway, it's going to submit it. And the bot is saying, okay, request was created successfully. Now, it knows Pavan's manager is James. So James, which is this browser over here, now got a card. He got an indicator that he got a card. And it says, this is what I just put in. I'm not, you know, this was not here before, 11:33 a.m. See right here in California, 11:33. This was put in, a leave request. It went to James, because now we're in this JR. James got a message saying, hey, you're the person you supervise, Pavan, one of your team, is asking for New Year's Eve off. He has a party to attend. And then you can say approve or deny it right then and there. And that would go back to Pavan, indicating to him that the request was approved. And then you could do workflows from there using our NITRO Studio that says when the status of the leave request is changed to approval, then it's going to run a workflow that updates the calendar, for example, or informs HR or something like that, you know, whatever you want to do. So we got this whole, we got it locked in as far as Teams bots, Nitro workflows, portals, forms. If you're moving off InfoPath, this is the way forward, you know, to go to, whether you work with us or another company, but you know, we have the experience, we have the tools, we have the techniques of moving from old, outdated legacy solutions. That's really what our business is, to help organizations run more efficiently and effectively. And we've been doing this for, like I said, for the last 22 years. And now we're doing it with moving off InfoPath or Access Forms or Lotus Notes or whatever. We're specifically talking about InfoPath right here. Moving off that to systems or processes or workflows and forms that are responsive, that are use the cloud, that expand your capabilities, and also give users a different kind of experience than just filling out a form. Maybe the bot would be a way to go forward if you happen to be in Office 365 and utilizing Teams. Maybe a portal is the way forward, for you. Maybe just simply using a back-end application is, or going to NITRO Studio and building your own stuff with forms and workflows and everything else. Reporting, portals, approvals, email syncs. So it really is a path forward. And I think my estimation is that 2021 is the year to get going on it. I mean, return of the year is only a couple of weeks or so. Yeah, that's soon, really. 1 week, 10 days? I don't know, about 10 days or something. Soon, let's say that way, soon, right? Too soon. Anyways, we're going into 2021, and that's the time to get in touch and we'll start projects. I mean, I think we're going to get a lot of work as we get towards that July 2021 deadline of the mainstream support. As I mean, InfoPath's going to drop dead right then and there, but it really is emphasizing, putting a big bold and underlined and bright red colors on the message, flashing the billboard that says time to move off InfoPath has passed. It's now. It's time to do it, not just think about it, but do it. And I hope that this webinar, I'm trying to keep it to 40 minutes, and that's what I think I'll do here. If there's any questions, I haven't been watching the question, but the thing is, what I'm gonna say here is get in touch with us, do a demo or just talk, always glad to talk to people about what we're doing here and how we're doing it. Let me see if I get up that slide again. And just share the information. We used to go to a lot of shows and see people at the shows and all that, and that was a lot of fun. But nowadays, we don't do that anymore. So it's more like these one-on-one conversations and engagements we're having with people. And it really keeps us aware of what your requirements are and how we can build our applications in NITRO Studio to meet your requirements. I mean, it's really, really interesting. It makes the work really interesting to help our customers do their job better and easier. So what are we saying here? We got, okay, a few more webinars coming up. This one on January 14th, I'll focus much more on the NITRO Studio and what it can do, not all this preliminary information, but really just focus on how NITRO Studio is really a solution for it. James, one of our guys, always gives like these monthly workshops on NITRO Studio. And then we have one on one of our applications, leave requests, kind of what I just showed you about the bots, but I'll go into more detail about what you can do, whether you want to use a leave request system that uses bots or doesn't use bots. That's going to focus on that, whether me or one of the other people do that here. And what do we have here? To learn more, give us a call, 925, sales, send a message to sales or request a demo or just visit our website. Visit our website. You hear that a lot, don't you? Visit our website at www.crowcanyon.com. Let me get that up here and show you that website. We're doing a lot of work on this lately. A lot of new designs. It's kind of cool. We got our crow. We got our list of logos. So I want to thank everyone for attending. I'm going to look at the questions right now and see if there's anything I can answer quickly here. Let's see, where is it? Questions. And pull that box out and see if there's something I can address specifically. I think, what are portals for? Portals are for customers to engage, users to engage with the system in a way that's friendly, secure, and it doesn't require them to know the back end of SharePoint, how to use SharePoint like that, okay? Do you have a fully functioning demo version? Yes, we have a fully functioning demo version available. URL is SharePoint. So it's a studio thing. You're showing a feature app you add to your SharePoint site. Yeah, you add it to SharePoint. That's right. You add it to your SharePoint. You install it in SharePoint, and then actually it becomes available to whatever. And then you could activate it in different sites. And then about transferring from NITRO Studio on-prem to Office 365. Okay. We can talk about what it is because it depends on what you're transferring. Does it the forms? There's a conversation to have about how exactly that's done. But since someone asked about the NITRO Studio in a little more detail, this is the studio. It's installed. There's also an admin home, and in the home of this is at site collection level. You're going to see that all the sites that have been activated, and you can decide if to activate or not to activate a site with NITRO Studio in it. Now, the thing is, if you're using other systems, other tools, maybe using some PowerApps or Power Automate or something, that does not conflict with NitroStudio. You can use them in conjunction with each other to build a NitroStudio form here, maybe have a Power Automate flow run from it. One of our workflows is initiate a Power Automate if you wanted. So you see here is kind of the admin section of it, and I was just in the access one right here. I went into manage and manage that one. But if you want to see all your sites here, you can search for the ones that are activated, non-activated, So there's kind of like tool up here at the higher level for managing the Nitro Studio installation and what's activated and what isn't. And then if you go to the individual system itself, like I did here, I know it's not I'm gonna, let's see, all activated site. Go here and manage it. Then you'll see the individual component of each part of that particular site, like the access request system. So on a high level, why is Nitro the way to go? That PowerApps are just one versus the other, pros and cons? Good question. I did a whole webinar on that, the limitations and costs of using the Power Platform. There are several things going on there, and I did not cover it in this webinar, but there are slides hidden in my slideshow that I figured I didn't have time in 40 minutes to go over. So let me go here and find those, and then you can see what we're talking about here. Okay, so here's Microsoft's Power Platform. I gave a whole webinar on this one time and looked at all the costs. PowerApps, limitations and considerations when using Office 365. And sorry for being a little raw at PowerPoint. I don't think you guys mind this. Does not include premium connectors unless you pay for them. Does not include on-premises connectivity. So if you are in SharePoint 2013, 2016, 2019, PowerApps and Power Automate aren't even a consideration. You could put a default on-premises data gateway in, but all that is extra money, big bucks, Does not include PowerApps portal licenses. So if you want to use a portal, that's an extra license over and above what you get out of Office 365. Office 365 comes with a certain amount of PowerApps and Power Automate licensing. They're called seeded. The seeded is what's inherently in your E3 or E5 or G government class, whatever your Office 365 subscription is. But there's limitations. The limitations of what you get with Office 365 PowerApps or Power is that you don't get the premium connectors, you don't get the on-premises connectivity without paying extra money, you don't get the PowerApps portal licenses, you only get Canvas apps, not model-driven apps, and there is a daily API request limit there. So Microsoft itself says, this is from last year, almost a year ago, customers that need general purpose and full capabilities of the platform should license PowerApps on a standalone basis. What they mean is there's a difference between the seeded Office 365 that you get when you as an inherent part of your subscription price, like everybody gets. But they're saying if you really want to get the general purpose and full capabilities of PowerApps, you need to get it on a standalone basis. Well, and same with Power Automate. What's a standalone basis? Well, think about it. You go $10 per user per month for 2 apps plus 1 portal, $40 per user per month for unlimited, $40 per user per month. You got 100 users, that's $4,000 a month. So the cost becomes quite prohibitive or quite expensive to use it if you want to get the full purpose and capabilities, and that's just PowerApps. Power Automate, the same thing, $500 a month per flow. You really got to, people were coming to us and saying that same question, but they didn't dig into the particular, and admittedly, a little bit obscure licensing of the PowerApps and Power Automate. You get PowerApps and Power Automate with Office 365, but only up to a certain amount. And for instance, one of the premium connectors is a SQL Server connector. You don't get that unless you pay for the premium connectors. In our system, you get it right away. So we are also more comprehensive in the sense that we cover forms, workflows, custom actions, formatting of the list, reporting, portals, and the bots. Our bots are extra, but the bots are part of, integrated with the NITRO Studio workflows. We also do Teams integration. So if you look at PowerApps pricing in a little more detail, again, I encourage you to do this. Do your own, do research on it. I can help, you interpret some of these things, but really, it comes down to really a lot of cost. And the other thing we get a lot is, and this is, just frankly where it's at. We have, when we used to go to shows, there's two kinds of people came up. One is, I just went to a PowerApps workshop, and I think that's the thing I'm going to use. So, I don't need any of these other forms and workflow tools. Then we get the people who come to us to say, I tried PowerApps and struggled with it for months. Do you have anything I can do besides PowerApps? So it's usually like the people who haven't used it, I mean, maybe some people get like right into it and really on board with it, but the people who haven't used it are thinking it's the solution. But when you finally get into using it and see the difficulty, the lack of support, the lack of, when you have to start paying for these premium features that you actually turn out to be what you need a lot of times, then they start looking for alternatives like NITRO Studio. So we always encourage people, sure, go down the PowerApps and PowerUp Automate road, and it's likely we'll hear from you in a few months, because that seems to be what happened at all these shows. People tried it, and then so we can be like the catchers in the rye a little and say, here's some caution to throw out there, but people have to go through the process themselves. And maybe some people find the Power Platform really rocks for them, and good, that's great, it's wonderful, no problem there. But there is a reason why a NITRO Studio has got a lot of goodwill, good intention, evangelists, people excited by it in the marketplace. And we are very personal. We're a small company. We do support, very hands-on support. It's not like we're $1.6 trillion company yet. Not even near that. Got to remove about, I don't know how many zeros from that for our company. But we've been around 22 years, and we've got customers all over the world. And it's a very solid, situation going here. So that's what my spiel about Power Platform. Thank you for that question, and sorry to spin off on so much detail about it. But if you are interested, I can talk to you personally. And it is a consideration. It is something that kind of the white elephant in the room, right? What about Power Platform? Well, use it if you like, but let you know that there's other alternatives out there. Let's put it that way. Or where's our Office 365 you work with? Yes, we work with. Okay, if anyone's still here, because it's gone over that minute, but yeah, I see some people are still on. Good. We work with Office 365, all the commercial. We're in the commercial cloud. We're in the GCC, the government cloud. We are working right now on getting in the GCC High. And I don't think we'll go into the DoD, because DoD is a little extreme as far as security measures and also the certification process you have to go through. But right now we are investigating, because people have asked us, some big military units, about getting into the GCC High. And it's not so much the GCC High is the issue, it's more the Azure Government Cloud, because it's Azure Commercial and Azure Government. And the endpoints and the way you do the programming for that are different, and the security measures that you have to, it's just a process. And we're in the process of considering whether we want to make the investment in the GCC High platform or not. But DoD, I think, is a little outside of where we'll go because of the intense specificality of their security requirements. Not that we're not secure, we're totally secure. It's just you get real extremes with DoD, which is rightly so, because it's defense and all that, military. But we're in GCC. We have a number of, like, the U.S. Forest Service, a lot of counties and cities and states using it in the GCC. GCC High, people start knocking on our door in the last few months and saying, can you do it? And we're like, oh, okay. So we just started a investigation process, and we should know within a couple months what it's going to take. It's really just mainly having the customers. Enough customers will do it. If it's just one, it's a high cost and probably not worth it. But if we do get in it, we'll be able to, expand in that. So NITRO Studio could work quite a useful program, and commercial and government entities. Okay, is that it? Okay, and anybody's interested in a demo, in pricing, in just guidance, and whether you want to talk high level or very specific about NITRO Studio, or just want to talk high level about InfoPath Replacement, we can help you out with some experience we had, or if maybe you need a consultant company or something, we can get you going in the right direction with one of our partners. We're glad to help out. But I want to, at this point, thank everyone for joining the webinar, and we'll be glad to continue the conversation. Also, you can show up at other webinars we're going to have in January. But meanwhile, I wish everyone a very happy holidays, even though it's kind of crazy with this COVID and everything. But I think make the best of the holiday season and the new year. It's an exciting and good time, and we're looking forward to 2021 as a year of a lot of good changes, good things going forward, and hopefully will be part of your move, whether from InfoPath or just making better use of SharePoint and Office 365. We'd be glad to be part of your journey with that. So thank you again for attending, and we look forward to hearing back one way or another. Okay, bye-bye for now. Have a good day. Okay, bye.